Time now for business. Let's say hello to Kate Moody.
Hi, Francois.
How low can the pound go? We're wondering that these days, what with the latest Brexit strategy of Boris Johnson not going over so well, it seems, with the markets.
Absolutely. I wouldn't want to speculate on just how low it can go, but I know that today it went to a 6-month low. That tension ratcheting up between the UK and EU as they held emergency talks in London. Now, the two sides should be closing in on a trade deal now, and those negotiations are continuing. But the focus is really back to the withdrawal agreement. A statement from the European Commission today threatening legal action against the UK if it doesn't withdraw that controversial bill that would violate parts of their previous agreement. Markets are now betting more on the possibility of a no-deal scenario after the Brexit transition period ends on December the 31st. Now, the pound had stabilized earlier in the session, but it slumped amid that renewed volatility on the currency markets, trading at about $1.28 and €1.08 there. We'll keep an eye on the pound as it continues to trade throughout the rest of the day. Well, let's check in on the rest of the day's trading action now. The major European indices were relatively calm as they approached the end of their volatile week. We saw it closing slightly below the flat line there. The CAC 40 down nearly 0.4%. Just stocks in Milan ending above the flat line this Thursday. Wall Street's also fairly muted, but still choppy. Lots of volatility still in New York, especially in the tech sector amid renewed worries of a tech bubble. We're seeing Apple leading those tech shares downwards. The Dow Jones, meanwhile, shedding about 150 points this hour. Well, one of the factors driving European trade today was a slightly upbeat statement by the European Central Bank. Christine Lagarde forecast the Eurozone economy would shrink 8% this year, compared with an earlier projection of 8.7%. The ECB had acknowledged headwinds for the economic recovery, but she made no change to its stimulus program or interest rates. The euro has recently gained strength on the currency markets, which can hurt exports, but Lagarde said she was just monitoring those implications.
Target exchange rate. Our mandate is price stability. And clearly, to the extent that appreciation of the euro exercise negative pressure on prices, we have to monitor carefully such a matter.
The number of Americans filing for jobless benefits for the first time rose slightly last week. 884,000 new claims were recorded by the Department of Labor. That's roughly the same as the previous week. It is an improvement on the nearly 7 million people who lost their jobs in a single week in March, but it's still well above the pre-pandemic level of record of just under 700,000. The U.S. government has changed the way it calculates those figures, which economists say makes it difficult to now compare to previous data. But the trend does suggest that the labor market's recovery is stalling and that millions of Americans are likely to remain out of work for some time to come. France is extending its financial support for parents whose children can't be in school. Some 32 schools have already closed in the country since classes reopened earlier this week as the number of coronavirus cases rises, leaving many families once again struggling to balance childcare with work. Luke Schrago reports.
Along with a COVID-19 uptick come class and school closures and a scramble for parents who thought they could go back to work without needing to juggle with the responsibilities of childcare.
On ne peut pas trouver comme ça la veille pour le lendemain des solutions. Le chômage partiel, si les classes sont fermées, il faut absolument le mettre en place.
The French government's now renewed financial measures it used during the lockdown to support beleaguered parents. If a nursery or school has to close or if a child is considered a contact case, one of the two parents will now receive benefit payments. Private sector workers will get 84% of their salary, the self-employed will get daily payments, and civil servants will get special authorization for paid leave. What's more, the measures are retroactive to the beginning of the month.
C'est l'établissement scolaire qui donnera aux parents un document administratif qui permettra d'attester que la classe ou que l'école est fermée. C'est ce document que les parents en question pourront remettre à leur employeur pour faire valoir le chômage partiel.
However, it only applies if working from home isn't an option. And given the difficulties many parents experienced in trying to handle their child's schooling alongside work, unions are concerned.
Lorsque vous avez des enfants qui sont petits et que votre activité est télétravaillable, on rentre dans quelque chose d'assez difficile qui, je le rappelle, était assez mal vécu par les travailleurs et travailleuses parce que malheureusement, souvent, c'est encore assez sexué, ces questions-là.
Either way, it's still more than many other nations have offered. Elsewhere, Schools are still closed with lessons going online or even on TV. And support measures for parents with children at home during the lockdown weren't as generous, don't cover as many people, or haven't yet been renewed.
So a bit of a sigh of relief for a lot of parents out there in France as the number of cases, of course, continues to spike.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about the crisis management, that arbitrage, if you will, between lives and livelihoods that with this resurgence of COVID, they're going to have to manage in the France 24 debate. Kate Moody, many thanks. We'll have more business news for you later.